Hi, welcome to Mental Health Mondays with Dr. David Morgan. This is brought to you by Onward Productions. And as always, I'm so thankful to them for providing this opportunity for me to answer your questions about mental health issues and specifically as they relate to the gospel of Jesus Christ. I'm a licensed psychologist and a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and I'm here to answer your questions. So if you have questions for me, here's how you get in touch with me. This email, onward.mental.health.mondays@gmail.com. Any question you have about, like I said, psychological mental health issues and often related to the gospel. Usually my answers will have something to do with the gospel of Jesus Christ, just because I think there are a lot of keys and solutions in the scriptures and the teachings of church leaders that can help us. So anyway, that's how you get in touch. Let's look at today's question. It comes from a viewer who says, what is your view of betrayal trauma and how to heal from it? Let's just define terms for a minute. Betrayal trauma is exactly what it sounds like. It's when someone has been basically hurt or harmed emotionally because of someone who's betrayed them, betrayal that they've experienced. And almost always it's a trusted someone that you trust that has betrayed you. And then what's the emotional fallout of that? I think that this is probably happening more now than maybe it has in the past. And the only reason I think that is because of the internet. People seem more agreeable to do things on the internet that they wouldn't do in person. And so it leads them to make poorer choices, which then can cause betrayal from people they're committed to. And usually betrayal trauma happens in the case of a committed relationship, oftentimes a marriage. Doesn't have to be a marriage. And often it is associated with some sort of sexual misconduct, looking at pornography or having emotional affairs or something like that. And so the viewer question is, how does the affected person, the person who has been betrayed by someone who has gone and done these things, how do they move past that? How do they heal from that? In this particular case, the viewer went on to tell me that it's her husband in this case, and he has had some immoral behavior online. And that the challenge is that, and this has been going on for years, and that she doesn't feel like he's taking very good responsibility for his behavior. He hasn't changed much. And she's like, well, how do I change when he isn't making changes himself? It's a great question. And really, the question is, how do you heal from situations where you don't believe you're at fault? And there's a lot of situations like that. Stuff happens to us, and we are victims in many circumstances. How do you move past that? The first step in any healing is personal accountability. I have worked with thousands of individuals who have been betrayed in some way or another. And the only way it gets better is when we choose to do something about it. I know that is not a super popular sentiment because people say, well, wait, this isn't my fault. I didn't cause this. Why am I the solution? If so-and-so caused it, they should be the solution. And technically, I agree with you. It would be lovely if the person that made the mess cleans up the mess, but that doesn't always happen. And so if someone makes a mess and then we are stuck with it, then what do we do? Sorry, it reminds me of an episode of The Office. If you watch that and someone makes a mess in the microwave, and Pam, the receptionist, goes to heat something up for lunch, and the microwave's disgusting. So instead of cleaning it up, she puts a note on there, sends out a memo saying that the guilty person should clean up the mess. Well, no one cleans up the mess. So in the meantime, she's stuck, not able to heat up her lunch because no one is cleaning up the mess. Now, it's not Pam's fault that the microwave is dirty, but if she wants to heat up her lunch, then she probably needs to clean it up or find some other way to heat her lunch. And life is often like that. We don't necessarily cause the problems that we're in, but the way out is almost always something that we can do. And the other thing that I find ironic is that in a lot of cases, individuals who feel they've been victimized or who have been victimized, they're waiting for the perpetrator to make changes in order for them to change. And so in the first case, they're kind of upset because here the perpetrator has taken power from them, kind of inflicted things on them that they didn't want, and they don't like losing that power. No one likes that feeling. But yet, as they're striving to heal, they're still putting the perpetrator in the driver's seat, and they're saying, well, I'll heal when he or she makes these changes. And it just isn't logical. I get that we feel like that, but when you really look at it, why would you continue to give them power? Why would you say, my healing not only was my destruction in your hands, but now my healing is in your hands as well? We don't need that. We need to take the power back in those situations. Here's a couple things from prophets. This is Lehi teaching Jacob in 2 Nephi 2:26. And the Messiah cometh in the fullness of time, that he may redeem the children of men from the fall. And because that they are redeemed from the fall, they have become free forever, knowing good from evil, to act for themselves and not to be acted upon, save it be by the punishment of the law at the great and last day, according to the commandments which God hath given. To act for themselves and not to be acted upon. That's an eternal truth. We're here to act and not be acted upon. Elder Christofferson taught, God intends that his children should act according to the moral agency he has given them, that every man may be accountable for his own sins in the day of judgment. It is his plan and his will that we have the principal decision-making role in our own lives' drama. We need to be the ones to act and to take that power. Now, this kind of brings up the idea of forgiveness. And whether we should forgive people, especially if they are not repentant or if they haven't changed. Now, and there's power in forgiveness. There's power to you in forgiveness. I think that's why we are commanded to forgive, so that we can move forward. Forgiveness is not for the benefit of the person who has betrayed us. Forgiveness is for our benefit. This is a quote from Elder Holland. Forgive and ye shall be forgiven, Christ taught in New Testament times. And in our day, I, the Lord, will forgive whom I will forgive. But of you, it is required to forgive all men. However, it is, however, important for some of you living in real anguish to note what he did not say. He did not say you are not allowed to feel true pain or real sorrow from the shattering experiences you have had at the hand of another. Nor did he say, in order to forgive fully, you have to re-enter a toxic relationship or return to an abusive, destructive circumstance. But notwithstanding even the most terrible offenses that might come to us, we can rise above our pain only when we put our feet onto the path of true healing. That path is the forgiving one walked by Jesus of Nazareth, who calls out to each of us, "Come, follow me." The point is that that power is in us. And when we choose to forgive, that doesn't mean, like Elder Holland said, re-entering a toxic relationship. It doesn't mean reestablishing any trust that may have been there before, but it does mean to forgive. And that allows us to move on. That untethers us from that kind of that emotional baggage and that hatred and betrayal that we feel because of what the other person did. Now, I understand this is sometimes more difficult to do in a committed relationship like a marriage, because in a lot of ways we have to progress together in marriage. But there are some things that you still can do on your own. Your healing, your forgiveness does not depend on what your spouse does. You can do that independent. And some relationships, unfortunately, they don't work completely together, and dysfunctional relationships, one person ends up growing more than the other because they're more responsible and they're taking charge of their lives. And that just happens sometimes. But if you say, I will heal when that person changes, you could be in for a long wait. And so I just encourage you not to do that. Take control of your own healing. Do what you need to do to move forward. Don't make that contingent upon what anyone else does. Take responsibility for yourself. Ask the Lord what you can do. Say, Heavenly Father, how do I move forward? How do I do my part? Even though he or she isn't doing their part, how do I do my part to heal and to move forward? And he will teach you. He will tell you. I've had awesome experiences with that, with being taught of the Lord. You have to ask sincerely and you have to be willing to act. But if you have those two things in place, he will teach you. And it's a blessed experience. Thanks to viewers for watching. I hope you find these things helpful. I always appreciate your feedback. And again, you can reach out to me at the email at the beginning of the episode, or you can find me on Instagram at LDS Psychologist or on my website at www.ldspsychologist.com. And just a reminder again that that change is possible, but that change requires action, and always keep moving forward. Thanks, and see you next time.